70. Venice. Venice is one of the most beautiful cities of the world. It lies on over 100 islands in a lagoon in the northern part of the Adriatic Sea. Venice is a cultural and tourist center and is famous for its museums, architecture, cityscape, and world of art. Only about 1/4 of Venice's 280,000 people live in the historical center of the city. The rest live on the mainland. The main method of transportation between the islands is by boats that travel up and down the city's many canals. 71. The main waterway is the Canale Grande, which winds through the heart of Venice. Hundreds of bridges connect the islands. Motorboats have replaced the historic gondolas, which are only used for city tours. People get around the islands either by walking or using so-called water buses. The central location of Venice is the Piazza San Marco, or St. Mark's Square. The city's most famous church, San Marco Basilica, and the Doge's Palace, which was the home of Venice's rulers for hundreds of years, are the main attractions of the piazza. The square is a famous tourist attraction surrounded by cafes and vendors. 72. East of the historic center on the outer part of the lagoon is Lido, a 10-kilometer long sandy island which attracts thousands of beachgoers throughout the summer holidays. The Venice Film Festival is one of the major annual film events that takes place there. The location of the city at sea level and global warming has caused many problems for Venice. Over the centuries, the Mediterranean town has been regularly flooded by tides that come in. From November to February, they cause acqua alta, a situation in which sea levels rise up to 1.5 meters and cover many of Venice's famous areas. 73. Wooden walkways must be erected to offer pedestrians a path to walk. Salt water from the sea has damaged the foundations of many buildings and constant repairs are necessary. Water gets into the buildings and destroys the walls and the invaluable frescoes. Industries and tourism have steadily reduced the level of groundwater in Venice, making foundations of buildings unstable. The islands have begun to sink at an alarming rate, about 3 to 4 millimeters per year. City planners are working on the construction of a series of steel gates that hopefully will stop seawater from coming into the lagoon. They are scheduled to go into operation by 2016. 74. Venice's inhabitants are confined by the waterways around them. Since the 1950s, thousands have left the islands and have moved to Mestre and other outlying areas because the city is full of tourists and offers no room for local population. The cost of living is also lower in the suburbs than in the expensive historic part. Especially young Venetians want to escape the chaos and turbulence of the medieval city. Venice's economy relies mostly on tourism. Up to 20 million tourists come to the city every year. Craftspeople sell handmade glass, textiles, and furniture to them. Venice is home to one of Italy's busiest harbors. Chemical industries, oil refineries, and steel processing have spread out over the mainland. 75. The first inhabitants came to the islands of Venice at about 500 AD in an attempt to flee from the ongoing Germanic tribes who invaded southern Europe. They made a living by fishing and trading. By 800, Venice had important trading partners in Constantinople and northern African cities. In the Middle Ages, Venice grew to a powerful city-state. It became the wealthiest city in Europe and controlled trading routes throughout the Mediterranean Sea. The Doges, elected among Venice's rich population, ruled the city. The Venetian Empire reached the height of its power in the 15th century. 76. The age of exploration brought about the decline of Venice. Navigators were looking for a sea route to Asia. When Spanish and Portuguese navigators started conquering new lands, trade shifted to Western Europe and the Atlantic. The expansion of the Ottoman Empire led to the loss of many Venetian territories in the eastern Mediterranean Sea. In addition, the plague killed 1/4 of the city's population. At the end of the 18th century, Napoleon took control of Venice and divided its empire between France and Australia. In the middle of the 19th century, Venice became a part of Italy. 77. Venice does not only have rich architecture that offers Gothic and Byzantine palazzos, but also buildings from many different eras. During the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, Venice, together with Florence and Rome, became a center of European art. Titian was one of the most famous representatives of the Venetian school of art. It became one of Europe's first printing centers. Venice hosts a famous carnival every year before the Lent season starts. People wear famous Venetian masks, carefully crafted from leather or porcelain.